Some pretty big moments yesterday during the big tech hearing. Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, and Jack Dorsey all called before the Senate Commerce Committee in order to explain basically Twitter's decision in order to block that original New York Post Hunter Biden story. Jack in particular had a very bizarre moment where he claimed that New York Post whose account is still locked and blocked from Twitter ahead of the election, the fourth largest newspaper in the entire country, claimed that they were mistaken, that they could have to go back and delete one of their old tweets and then retweet a new link. It's very bizarre. Let's take a listen.
Yes, they have to log into their account, which they can do at this minute, delete the original tweet, which fell under our original enforcement actions, and they can tweet the exact same material from the exact same article, and it would go through.
So this is the thing that we were just talking about, Krystal. It's incredibly strange because Jack is claiming that the New York Post is no longer locked out of its account, that all the Post has to do is go back and delete its original tweet about the story, which got them locked out of their account in the first place. I think it's a principled stand that the Post is taking here, where they're saying, no, we are a news organization. You cannot force us to delete a totally legitimate story.
Yeah.
And if it's within their power to do so, which we all know it is, they can just go and unlock the New York Post Twitter account. It's insane.
Sure, they could certainly do that. I do feel, though, like the New York Post has sort of misrepresented the situation, though, because all we knew is, like, they're locked out, period, end of story, when the truth of the matter is, okay, they could be unlocked at any moment if they just went and deleted these tweets, and then they're free to retweet the same thing. Yeah. It's just because they're like through technical whatever, they're locked out because of this thing. Now, could Twitter go in and like make that right? Of course they could. But I do feel like the New York Post wasn't totally upfront about the dynamic of the situation, and I think it's a totally legitimate stance for a news organization to say, like, no, we're not going to delete our tweets at the behest of a major tech company. But they weren't upfront exactly about that dynamic, so I thought that was interesting.
But remember Jake Sherman being like, he was like apologized. He was like, I'm so sorry. I tweeted the link. They locked my account, and I'm deleting it, and I'm bowing down to you, my overlords. I think that's how it should be. I mean, sure, I agree. The New York Post should have told us the full story.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, we could unlock our account, blah, blah, blah. But overall, I mean, you can't have the CEO of Twitter saying, we're going to lock your account. And actually, your story is legitimate now, but it used to be illegitimate. So when in that brief period when we deemed it illegitimate,
took that enforcement action,
then, we're going to take that away. Look, we didn't learn all that much from those hearings. I had to cut that clip because I think Ted Cruz is annoying. But there was some back and forth in that 9 minute. He's like, who the hell elected you? Couple of interesting observations, which is that the main thing I saw is Republicans are very different in talking the way that they used to about big tech. Back in 2012, 2013, maybe even a year ago, you couldn't imagine people like Ted Cruz talking about antitrust and bigness around social media companies. Are they going to do anything about it? I'm dubious at best whenever Trump is gone, or if Trump is gone from office. However, I think it is significant to see things move within that way.
That is true. However, most of the conversation I saw from Republicans wasn't actually about bigness. Yeah. It was about just this idea that conservatives in particular were being censored. I saw them like reading tweets that they were mad about. And I mean, it was, there were some boomer moments, et cetera.
Very boomer.
Yeah. I saw someone tweeting like, the only reason I would ever want to become a senator is so that I could read to Jack Dorsey the like tweets I didn't like on his platform.
Yeah, I would too.
But, Stoller, who obviously is a great observer of these things, great analyst on antitrust issues, he pointed out, Mike Lee's up there, railing against these tech CEOs, but he's also putting out legislation to try to kneecap antitrust enforcement. Yes. So are they actually serious about the bigness critique, which is the real thing here? Why do we have to care so much about what Jack Dorsey is doing in these individual instances and whether this one account is locked or not? It's because they're so big and they're so powerful and they shape the discussion. So I'm a little less hopeful and optimistic that they've actually seen the light on those issues, because the moment you go there with tech on bigness, every industry in this country has a monopoly issue. And so then you end up okay, well, now we got to talk about big ag. And now we got, it does. It opens Pandora's box. And I don't think that they're really ready to go there. There were some really depressing moments, one in particular from a guy who just got reelected, Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts, really not getting the issue at stake here. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Anti-conservative bias is not a problem. The issue is not that the companies before us today are taking too many posts down. The issue is that they're leaving too many dangerous posts up. In fact, they're amplifying harmful content so that it spreads like wildfire and torches our democracy.
And I just...
So stupid.
It just drives me crazy. And I think we both were listening to Glenn Greenwald on with Joe Rogan yesterday talking about this issue. And it's like, why would you want to hand these companies even more power? Like, are you a fool? Do you not see the way that this could come for you? Do you not see? I mean, you know, Ed Markey found himself, he's been a sort of mainline liberal senator for most of his time, but he found himself very targeted by the establishment.
Yes.
He's now no longer in that like mainline establishment friendly, they're always going to love you in everything you do lane. So you're at risk in all of this. And this is the part, I mean, if you look throughout history, it has disproportionately really been the left that has been targeted for censorship because the left has always had this critique of corporatism, critique of power. And so that is what's going to put you in the bullseye for targeting and for censorship. Why? Why would you want to hand these people more power?
Again, think about it from how idiotic it is from his perspective, which is that he's a newfound convert on the Green New Deal and all this stuff. How much money do you think online that Ed Markey raised? Do you think it was, you know, was it from big donors, which he promised off, or was it from all of these young people like Sunrise and others, who use social media and other platforms in order to drive stuff to them? So what happens whenever the day comes where they side with Joe Kennedy over Ed Markey on one of his ad campaigns? What's going to happen? And look at this fool out there trying to ask these and turn over more power to these people who would turn around and use it on them the moment that he tried to start. Let's say he started running ads about breaking up Facebook and so you think they're going to let that stand? Not a chance. And look, they never get it until they come for them, and you know, maybe they'll just never see the light. I don't know. Yeah. So I mean, it just drives me crazy when I see this argument being made because to me, it's just so obvious. And it's not even theoretical because we've already seen the censoring of the left in so many instances to try to make it fair. All right, more Rising for you after this.